Good afternoon, fourth grade. We are going to continue reading And Where the Mountain Meets the Moon, chapter 16. So get ready for your fill in the blank. It says, Minli and Dragon tricked the monkeys and were able to travel through the peach grove. Meanwhile, Ma and Ba continued to search for Minli. On their journey, they ran into the Goldfish Man. The Goldfish Man encouraged them to trust Minli and believed that she would return home after her journey. Ma and Ba decided to trust the Goldfish Man, and they made their way back home to wait for Minli to return. Press pause to write down your answers and play when you're ready for the focus question. Today we want to know, who is Aunt Jen and what can we infer about her character from the goldfish's description of her? The second thing we are going to think about is, how are Minli and Aunt Jen similar? How are they different? So again, we're going to be comparing and contrasting characters. Our vocabulary words are relative. That is someone in your family, is a relative. Vendor, that's someone who sells food or goods on the street. And majestic describes something that is beautiful. Turn the page. And we are on pages 88 to get ready to read chapter 16. And we will be using our CSPS strategy as we read. We are at Feasting on Juicy Peaches. Feasting on juicy peaches, Minli and the dragon walked through the woods for many days. At night, when the dragon slept, Minli missed Ma and Ba. But this is for our fortune, so they don't have to work so hard anymore, Minli told herself when she thought about the worry they must have been feeling. When I get back, Ba can rest and Ma will never have to sigh again. They'll see. But the lonely moon never seemed to gaze comfortably down at her. And this is describing how Minli is feeling guilty about running away from home because she realizes that her parents must be very worried about her. One day, Minli and Dragon came upon a body of water. In the distance, they saw the woods continue. As the compass pointed across the water, the dragon swam the inlet with Minli riding his back. How far do we go before we get to Never-Ending Mountain? The dragon asked. And we'll stop right there because we have enough information about our characters and the setting. And so in box 1, when we're thinking about our characters, we would write down Minli and Dragon are following the compass while traveling to Never-Ending Mountain. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the quote. And for the quote, we would write down this sentence, as the compass pointed across the water, the dragon swam the inlet with Minli riding on his back. We would write that quote down in the second part of box 1. Press pause to write down your quote and play when you're ready for the focus question. The setting. Sorry. All right, and now we're looking at the setting, and we would write down that Minli and Dragon swim across an inlet on their way to Never-Ending Mountain. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the quote. And we would actually write down the same quote as we did for the character because it gave us information about what the characters were doing and where they were. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready to keep reading. I'm at well. Well, Minli said slowly, the fish said to go west until I reached the city of bright moonlight. Once there, I'm supposed to find the guardian of the city. The guardian, Dragon said. Who is that? I'm not sure, Minli said. The king of the city, I guess. Once I find him, I'm supposed to ask for the borrowed line, which, according to the fish, is something I'll need for Never-Ending Mountain. The borrowed line, the dragon asked. What is that? I don't know, Minli said. The fish didn't tell me. You didn't ask? The dragon almost stopped swimming in surprise. I didn't want to delay her, Minli said. She was in a rush. The dragon shook his head and opened his mouth to say something, but they both heard a strange sound next to them in the water. Aunt Jen, a voice said. Is it you? You came back like you said. Dragon and Minli looked in the water and saw a large orange fish with a black fin swimming next to them. It looked a lot like Minli's goldfish, but larger. I think you had me mixed up with someone else, Minli said to the fish. I was speaking to the dragon, the fish said, but you must not be Aunt Jen either. Well, the dragon looked down at the fish with a wry smile. Either one of us would be a very strange relative to you, fish. Why do you think I was your aunt? Because Aunt Jen always said she would come back to show us that the Dragon Gate was real, the fish said. What do you mean, Minli asked. Dragon Gate? What's that? And we'll stop right here because our problem in the story is that this goldfish that looks like, he actually looks like Minli's fish. He's an orange fish with a black fin. He looks like the fish she let go. Thinks Minli's fish thinks a goldfish that looks like Minli's fish thinks dragon is her Aunt Jen. And we will write that down in box 3. A goldfish that looks like Minli's fish thinks dragon is her Aunt Jen. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the quote. And we would write down this quote on page 70. And you could just write down the sentence, why do you think I was your aunt? Press pause to write down the quote and play when you're ready to keep reading. We are going to turn the page. And so she tells them a story about the Dragon Gate, and we're going to skip that, and we're going to the bottom of page 93. So, the Dragon Gate transforms fish into dragons, a wish that many of us hold in our hearts, the fish finished. None know who first told the story, or if it's even a story at all, but Aunt Jen was determined to find out. She said she was going to search all the rivers of the land for it, and if she found it, she'd come back here as a dragon to show us. That's why I thought you might be her. Did your aunt look like you? Minli asked. Orange with a black fin? Yes, the fish said, but much smaller, the size of a copper coin. It doesn't seem like a fish that small could swim up a waterfall, Dragon said. Even if she does find the right river, she might not be able to get to the gate. If there is a gate, Aunt Jen will find a way through it, the fish said. She's very wise. If you knew her, you'd understand. All right, and we will stop right there because we have our solution. In box 4, we would write down, the goldfish tells Minli and Dragon the story of the Dragon Gate. To explain how if her Aunt Jen makes it to the Dragon Gate, she will turn into a dragon and fly. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the quote. And we would write down this quote on page 94. If there is a gate, Aunt Jen will find a way through it, the fish said. She is very wise. If you knew her, you'd understand. Press pause to write down the quote and play when you're ready for the paragraph. And in the paragraph it says, who is Aunt Jen and what can we infer about her character from the goldfish's description of her? Okay, and if you keep reading, Minli begins to think, maybe Aunt Jen was the fish that I let go, because the fish Minli let go only had one more river to swim, and she was in a hurry because she was looking for something.